and a very warm welcome to Cultural Communication Confidence, episode 10, where we'll be talking about your confidence journey. I would like you to imagine that you decided to train for a marathon. In fact, no, I'm going to take that a step back. Let's imagine you decided you're going to run a marathon tomorrow. You decided, just as it is, without any training, to actually go ahead and do it. And you're feeling excited by this, you're ready to have a go. And so you turn up at the start line and you haven't done that training. So you set off and you think, fantastic, it's a beautiful sunny day, I can do this. But after a couple of miles, you're starting to get tired and your muscles are hurting and you start to feel a bit low and disheartened. And that's when the thoughts start coming in. You start saying, I can't do this. I can't complete this marathon. What was I thinking? What was I even thinking about trying to do this? And sort of fairly quickly, we spiral with these negative thoughts. Now, I'm sure that you wouldn't attempt to do a marathon just like that without the training. But you can see what happens when we commit to do something and then we don't actually focus and practice and train towards that goal. Interestingly, I have clients who come to me and they say to me, I'm not a confident communicator. So they kind of have created this statement for themselves and they aren't currently taking any steps towards improving towards that. And yet they have this negative statement in their mind. And we have to remember that the brain believes what we say to it. So our brain listens to our messages, whether they are said externally or whether we just think them to ourselves. So when we set up a question like this, are we a confident communicator? And the answer is either yes or no. Lots of people default to the no, which of course isn't great. And that doesn't really help us when we start saying this to ourselves. I'm not a confident communicator. So instead, what can we do? Well, I would love it if we could think about confidence as a journey. It's a journey that we move forward on step by step by step. And it's all those steps and all the training, if you like, that really helps us to build up towards the goal of becoming that confident communicator. I think that's helpful because when we have a big goal like this, if we break it down into these smaller steps, then it can really help us to build that confidence over time. It's also helpful for us to think about it in this way because confidence isn't just a switch that we turn on and that stays on all the time. In fact, confidence is very much something we feel and it's dependent on the people we're with or the situation or context that we're in. So there may be certain meetings or presentations where you feel very confident in your communication. And then there are just other situations, other days where you really don't feel it and you feel those doubts creeping in. And that's completely normal. We have the ups and downs of the journey. And I think it's more helpful, sometimes people think about it almost as a straight line, that the confidence journey should just go in a linear upwards movement. But in reality, the confidence journey is much more like a bowl of spaghetti, if you can imagine that. So a bowl of spaghetti where everything, all the noodles are mixed up together inside. And there are twists and turns, and sometimes we go back on ourselves before we move forward. And that's very much how the confidence journey goes. It's not a straight line, it's more of like the bowl of spaghetti. So, what are the action steps that we can take to practically go forward on our own confidence journey to improve our communication? Well, I think there are a couple of actions, and the first one is about this idea of moving forward step by step. We need to train, we need to practice if we are to improve. So that does mean pushing our comfort zone and really making sure we put ourselves in situations where we're communicating to different audiences, different groups of people, and that is stretching us so that we can build up that confidence. It's very much like training for the marathon that I mentioned at the beginning. We need to really build up our confidence muscle. The more we use it, the more that we get the strength and we feel it. So, think about it just like the marathon runner. You wouldn't just overnight do the marathon. You would need to start with walking, then perhaps some gentle power walking and jogging, mixing up the two before you get to running, and then increasing your distance with running. It's exactly the same with your communication confidence. Take it step by step and build up over time. Give yourself challenges and make sure that you're regularly practicing so that you feel more confident every day with different groups of people, different size audiences, and how you communicate. So that's the first point. The second action step is really knowing that sometimes we are our own worst critics. So do you remember when I mentioned the marathon runner who, without any training, started the marathon and then very quickly started the negative self-talk? We sometimes, in situations where we're communicating, start to feel uncomfortable, and the self-criticism kicks in and the doubts kick in. And this can sometimes be distracting and not be helpful or even be an accurate picture of how we're doing. So if you're somebody who finds yourself in this situation, or immediately after a meeting or presentation, you start to criticize yourself and think about everything that didn't go well in the communication, I would encourage you instead to seek out some objective feedback. Now, there are many different ways you can do this. Clearly, you could ask somebody who's attending the meeting or is in the room with you to observe what you're doing with your communication. Perhaps ask them some specific questions to understand, what it is you're doing or not doing with your communication, whether that's what you're saying or how you're saying it. If you haven't got somebody you can ask, then please come and ask me. I'm always really delighted to help people with feedback. So please, reach out to me and I'd be happy to help in this way. And the final method actually is a really interesting one in the preparation stages before perhaps a more major meeting or presentation. And that is to video record yourself so that you can capture what you're doing and then go back and watch that video and try and step back and see what's going on. If you do this, the approach is that you should ideally focus on what is positive first. So even if you really don't like what you did, try and find something that is positive in your communication approach in that particular situation. And then think about how you would improve. The only thing I would advise here, though, is think about how you can express that constructively. The important point here is you're looking for ways to improve. So consider it almost as if you were giving feedback to another person. How would you give that feedback in a way that would encourage and motivate them? Think about that for yourself. So when you observe your video, think about what it is that you can do to improve and express that in a constructive way so you can take that action forward. So there you go, some key action steps. And I hope this particular episode has really helped you to understand this idea of how we build up on our confidence journey. I also really hope that it's helped you understand that you may say, I'm not a confident communicator yet, because you are on that journey. So that is something that is developing all the time. As we come to the end, I would love to ask you, where are you right now on your confidence journey? What is it that's particularly challenging you? And what steps are you going to take as a result of listening to this episode today? What is your first step? And let's put it into action straight away. I would love to know how you get on, and I love to hear people's experiences, particularly after listening to these episodes. So please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm Victoria Reynoldson, and my link to my LinkedIn profile is in the show notes. So please do free to contact me and share your own experiences and story, and particularly if you need further help with your communication journey and could do with some further feedback or support. Thank you so much for listening today. And as Cultural Communication Confidence, the podcast, is relatively new, I would absolutely love it if you've enjoyed today's episode, if you could share it with somebody who you think would really benefit from listening to this episode. If you particularly enjoyed it, it would mean a lot to me if you could rate the show, perhaps even leave me a review. It's free to do so, and it means that we can get the show out to more people and they can also listen to these valuable insights as well. So thank you so much for joining me today for Cultural Communication Confidence, and I look forward to seeing you next time.